This question just is in relation to the mental health supports that are available for students in the various colleges around the country, and particularly in the light of COVID and the extra pressures that we put on them in relation to mental health. And we see that in studies done by the Union Students of Ireland prior to COVID, there was a 4 to 6 or over 25% of students had to wait over 4 weeks to see mental health professionals within their college. What are we going to do to make that different for this year? Thank you.
Thank Deputy Pringle for raising this important matter, which he also raised with me last week during a debate on these matters, and it is a very serious issue. As you know, I have allocated an additional €5 million for mental health supports. Admittedly, €2 million of that was a budget day announcement of additional funding, and then a further €3 million of it announced as part of the COVID reopening plan, so €5 million more. In advance of the question, I just got the breakdown by institution, which it's in tabular form, so I'll provide it to you. But I know one of particular interest to you will be Letterkenny IT, which has received as part of that breakdown an additional €171,000 through the HEA.
Minister, you said it yourself, access is the key, and it's no point having fantastic mental health services if only 2% of students who need them can actually access them. And the reality is that the Union of Students of Ireland have done a survey on this in relation to access, and prior to COVID, over 25% of students were waiting over 4 to 6 weeks, which in terms of a student, that's over half a term for mental health supports. So that's prior to COVID, and we're going to see an increase in that even now in relation to what's happening. So it really needs to be stepped up, and I would wonder, and I would doubt whether the €5 million, when it is an increase in funding, what will it actually mean in terms of on delivering extra services? I don't think it has come anywhere near the mark of what will be available. When you consider in the rest of the mental health service or in the rest of the education budget, we're talking hundreds of millions every turn around, but and €5 million for this seems to me to be very minimal. I hope it's not, and I hope it will benefit students, but I do believe that there will be an increase in demand for services this year, and I think we have to step up to the mark to make sure that it can be met.
Yeah, look, I think it is objectively one of the largest increases we've seen in student mental health services in many years. Is it enough is always a fair question to ask, and do I want to continue to invest more? Of course I do. The question as to what will happen with the funding and what will they do with it is the key question that you rightly ask. So I've outlined in my answer to you what we want them to do with it, in terms of we want it to be to hire more student counsellors, more psychologists, and to beef up those services so students can get better access to what generally are high quality services, but we need more professionals in it. We've given an allocation through the HEA to each individual institution. I'll provide you with the full breakdown by institution. It is, though, there is a degree of local flexibility in terms of what people might need to do, because it can vary from institution to institution. But I have, because I'm not fond of money going into kind of black holes or out into the system and trying to chase it forevermore, we have asked that the HEA report back as to how that money has been spent, and I'll be able to keep this House updated in that regard.
So that's vitally important, because to make sure that actually it meets the needs of the people who need it, which are the students. And when you look at the figures, where USI have said that 38.4% of students have severe levels of anxiety, 29.9% of depression, and stress at 17.3%, and that's pre-COVID. So we're going to see an increase in that as well, and also the difficulty of actually reaching students and getting services available to them when they're not on campus as well is going to be an added problem. So I do believe that this has to be kept very tightly in eye to make sure that it's actually achieving what it sets out to achieve. And I think you need to take a very close monitor at that, because that is going to be key to the service.
And just to assure the Deputy that I absolutely will do that, and I'm more than happy to keep him in this House updated in that regard.